Can I come to you now, just on the formal qualification side? Because obviously it's very interesting having you in this discussion now. Being a professor in Trinity College, arguably the best known university in the country, and I'm not biased now. Being a former alumni, but what's your thoughts on the role of formal qualifications, in the workplace, and how do you see that evolving and marrying with this kind of skills based approach?
Uh, I, that's a really good question. Thank you for the very positive comments about Trinity. I'm very glad, privileged to work in this wonderful institution where we provide formal qualification. We also, on the trend, we actually provide macro credentials to meet the market, demands from the industries. I'll give you one example is that for climate change, sustainability. So currently, because get approval for much needed domain knowledge, like say, CSR officer, something like that. So currently, in any institution, not only in Trinity, that you have to, get a proposal and approved by the board. So it's going to take a lot of time. And also, given the globalization, if you want to have a master at European level, let's say students have access to different countries, even that will take a lot of time in terms of being approved, being running, and then producing the talent for market. So you can see that actually sometimes the formal structure, formal education can delay the process of the talent supply. So in terms of that, I think formal qualification definitely can ensure the credibility and the quality of the skills. However, I think it's really, we have a lot of work to do to make sure that we can meet the demands in a much timely way, to make sure that, formal qualification is not a blocker, it's not a barrier, but
Hmm.
just to provide much needed talent to the industry.
Yeah, but one thing that formal qualification does have, and I'd be interested to get your all your viewpoints on this, is that it is verifiable, and skills are largely, well, obviously we have tools to test them, but they're not necessarily as verifiable as a formal qualification is. So I can say I have a skill in content creation if I'm applying for a job as a digital marketing manager,
Mm.
as much as the next candidate can. So, what role does verification have in kind of a skills based approach, and how can employers go about verifying skills? What's the best way?
I think
I'll go
that's
to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
I'm just give. I'm sure Terry and Johnny has have very
Yeah.
good experience examples. So we are currently working on a EU project called Leading European Digital Skills, which we focus on the advanced digital skills. So we conduct with other 8 European partners, look at the demands for ADS, advanced digital skills. We also mapped the supply within Europe. Actually, we found a huge gap where we need 20 million new ICT specialists by 2030, which we call the 20 by 30. So in terms of that, of course, if you want to look at AI, quantum business, quantum, and then you look at IoT, all those advanced digital skills, because we have a computing science in a department or education long enough in the universities. But what is, once people graduate from the programs, and then they do show the advanced digital skills. But currently, I want to emphasize, it's not really linear saying you attend college and then you have qualifications and then you have the skills. The industry are changing, the landscape is changing. The things that you learned from the college, particular advanced digital skills, you probably need to reskilled, upskilled once you come into the industries, employers. So I'm saying that you have a formal qualifications can ensure you have a long, spend a lot of time to study a subject in depth. But for the future, I think, as we mentioned, the technical skills, human skills, and also potential, they're openness to learn. So I think that's what we want to bring back to the equation about the recruitment, the hiring. So not saying that we should drop what we are doing, remove what we've been doing that by future candidates with the qualification. What I'm saying that, like Johnny said, it depends. It's not really completely, kind of removing something. For me, is basically to provide more access for the companies to large talent pool. But on the other hand, we also provide access to candidates who has been on a different learning journey, and then they could have access to the jobs as well. So again, formal qualification is important, but if the organization have the tools, I think the current barrier for industries is that if you go with a skill based hiring, actually you need a lot of resources, time, capacity, technology in place, but a lot of organizations couldn't afford to have that. And then, imagine that how many HRs recruiters in one organization. So it's probably, one organization with thousands of employees, recruit, hundreds of people a year, but they have a relatively small HR team, so they couldn't afford to do that. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't do that. So I think that that's a really lively debate, about
Mm.
how we can do it better with that capacity.